You're watching Local News 8 at 6. Local people, local news.
What an overwhelming day. And I can't even express how hard this journey has been. And the hundreds of people that's been affected by one person's choice to take my daughter's life.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. That was Carol Dodge. Just a few hours ago, police named a suspect, Brian Lee Drips. The 53-year-old call man has now been linked to the 1996 cold case murder of Angie Dodge in Idaho Falls. Idaho Falls Police Chief Bryce Johnson said Drips was arrested yesterday after DNA evidence from him was matched directly to the scene of the murder. This is new technology that was used to track down the suspect. In attendance today were Angie Dodge's mother and brother, Carol and Brent. And joining us now live is Carol Honus, who is there also. Carol.
Carol, Jay, this is just the most unbelievable story. This is brand new DNA technology that is now working with crime investigations, whereas before it was just genetics. You know how people want to find out where they come from? Well, a genetics lab in California has a way of getting 600,000 markers and developing a tree, like a family tree that goes backwards in history. They found out they could do that with the sample that came from the crime scene, and the lab came up with 6 suspects, and those all turned out to be negative. So they're wondering, what are we doing wrong here? Turns out there was a 7th son that nobody knew about, and they learned about it just by reading an obituary. So when they find out there's a 7th suspect, they get a name, they go to Caldwell. Now they got to get some DNA from this guy so they can match it with the DNA that was on Angie Dodge. And the chief of police explains how they did it.
Over some time, they were following him, and a cigarette went out the window. And we thought, oh, we can grab this cigarette, that's going to work. A cigarette in the middle of the street isn't as easy to recover as you might think, especially on a busy street where there's lots of cars going by. So we had to let him drive through before they went out to get it. By the time the detectives got out, they were dodging cars playing that Frogger game, and the cigarette butt we couldn't distinguish from the 50 other cigarette butts that were in the road. And so they got a little dejected, but they persevered on. After about 20 hours of surveillance after that, and they redeployed a little bit, another cigarette butt went out the window. One of the detectives was right there to mark that and to make sure we had the right one. They got that cigarette butt.
Can you believe it? That is some good police work done by the Idaho Falls detectives. So they have the cigarette butt, they have the semen sample from Angie Dodge's murder case from 23 years ago, pretty deteriorated, but Parabon Labs in California is able to make a match. They pick this guy up, they take him to the officer's headquarters, they interview him for 5.5 hours, and he confesses. So Drips has confessed to the Angie Dodge murder. Now, what about Christopher Tapp? You got to wonder what's going to happen there, because this guy spent 20 years in prison for a murder that he didn't commit. I asked that question today, and they said, today it's all about the Dodge family. We're just talking about the Dodge family. In 2 weeks, we will let you know how we're going to respond to improperly imprisoning Christopher Tapp. Crazy, crazy story. Go to our website. Watch the entire press conference. It is like TV, like the most interesting crime TV you have ever witnessed. So, Jay, back to you.
Oh, thank you, Carol. Yes, it was 50 minutes just riveting comments from all these people involved there. And when it's all over, Todd Coons had the chance to speak with Carol Dodge, Angie's mother. He asked her how it felt when she got the news of the arrest last night.
I think that last night when they told me that they had found him was more overwhelming than hearing his name today. I think I gasped yesterday. Today, just hearing his name, I don't know, I guess I got my air supply back, right? It was a shock. I think it was a shock for everybody.
He also talked with Brent Dodge, Angie's brother, about the emotions that have come with this day after 23 long years.
Yeah, gratitude on one end of the spectrum, gratefulness, gratitude. The other thought that I had was, zero restitution from this individual. 23 years later, I don't even know if you can describe him as a coward.
This case has been going on for more than 20 years. Local News 8 reporter Tristan Lewis shows us a timeline of the events that happened in the Angie Dodge case back starting in 1996.
The Angie Dodge case dates all the way back to June 3rd, 1996, when Dodge was found stabbed to death in her home in Idaho Falls. Later that year, police began questioning two suspects, Benjamin Hobbs and Christopher Tapp. Hobbs was released due to lack of evidence. But in January 1997, Tapp was arrested on charges of murder and rape. Police said Tapp confessed to stabbing Dodge. Later, Tapp said he felt coerced into the confession and claimed his innocence. On December 11, 1998, Tapp was found guilty by a jury and sentenced to 30 to life in prison. In 1999, Tapp filed an appeal to the Idaho Supreme Court, who later affirmed his conviction. For about 10 years, Tapp filed 3 conviction relief petitions, with a judge dismissing all of them. Then on May 12, 2015, a 4th conviction relief was filed involving 2 issues. First, on if prosecutors should have turned over videos of the interrogation and polygraphs. This was later dismissed. The second was if new evidence can be presented to show Tapp was coerced into confessing.
They failed to produce the 3 polygraph tapes. The 3 polygraph tapes showed a pattern of Chris Tapp would give one story and then take a polygraph test. He would fail the polygraph test, then they would tell him what to say, and then he would change his story, and then he would take another polygraph test, and he'd fail the polygraph test. He would change his story again to fit what he thought was the right thing to say to pass the polygraph test.
Bonneville County Prosecutor Danny Clark hired a private firm to investigate the Tapp case in July of 2015. Then, September 2016, an independent investigation report was released to the public. The investigator on the case said he did not think Tapp was the man behind the knife, but he does believe Tapp was in Dodge's apartment when she was murdered. On March 22nd, 2017, Tapp became a free man after a resentencing hearing.
Victory!
He was resentenced to second-degree murder for his role, already having served 20 years in prison, which is past the normal amount of time a second-degree murder charge would normally receive. He was released. The charge for rape against Tapp was dropped after DNA testing cleared him of any involvement.
To the community and everybody, I thank you for everything that they've supported me, stood by me, and helped my family and myself over all these years.
Reporting in Idaho Falls, I'm Tristan Lewis.
For more on our past stories and the history on this case, you head to our website at localnews8.com.
So over the next couple of hours, we're going to see more severe weather starting to roll through the region with the threat for thunder showers and things getting pretty sketchy there. We're bringing in gusty winds, dropping rain and hail, and also more of this wet weather transitioning to some mountain snow later tonight through your Friday, all thanks to a cold front that's moving through. So the showers right now coming in here from the south to the north, and you can see the movement of that with quite a bit of thunderstorm activity, especially also some heavier showers out towards Boise. In fact, it's been pretty active here over the past little bit here, especially getting into places like Island Park, and then also getting into right now into the Snowville area. We've also been seeing quite a bit of this activity. Let's go to live sweep right now. I want to show you that there's actually a thunder cell that's actually gained some strength here in the last few minutes. I've been looking at this cell as it's been coming over the Madison County mountains. It's now heading right for Ashton right now. In fact, that storm is moving. It's going to be in the Ashton area. In fact, let me drag this over here if I can. Grab this little box here. It's going to be moving to the Ashton area very shortly. And that one's actually been producing quite a bit of lightning. Sorry, I was just tracking this live. So that one's going to be in Ashton, and here at 6:56. That one's been putting down quite a bit of lightning, possibly even a little bit of hail from that cell as it moves north into Fremont County. Elsewhere right now, we haven't really seen much in terms of anything severe. We've had a couple strong thunderstorms getting through the Island Park area and also just outside of Victor, Swan Valley. In fact, there's another storm cell here. I want to take you a little bit closer in here. It's just coming over the mountains. It looks like it's going to be in the Victor area here shortly. Let's put a storm track on that. If you can see my finger there, it looks like that's going to be getting into Victor shortly. I can't get a good storm track on that. But bottom line here, very active weather coming in here from the south to the north. We do have some also strong cells now just starting to show up here, getting into Pocatello. That one now starting to get into the Pocatello area, and that one's going to be in Pocatello in the next 20 minutes, it looks like here, producing quite a bit of a good thunderstorm over town. So More active weather. I'll be tracking where these thunderstorms come in a little bit and break down what to expect here for your Friday and Saturday with dropping temperatures and gusty winds. Jay?
I was furious because who would do that to somebody's personal property? You know, it was malicious, vicious. It's horrible.
When you go on vacation, you probably expect to come home to seeing things just the way they were. But one Pocatello woman had quite the surprise when she returned from a Utah ski trip in April. Local News 8 reporter Max Cohan is live outside her house with more.
Jay, Lorraine Bowen owns this house on Jane Street, and when she did return in April from that ski trip, she found the house in ruins with vandalism damages surpassing $50,000, and her family says the culprits live right next door.
They just trashed it. Made a big mess.
Denise Murdoch was furious when her sister Lorraine called her to explain what had happened to her house. While on a ski trip, 3 juvenile vandals aged 9, 12, and 13 broke into her home, first through a doggy door and then through a basement window. Once inside, the kids went to town.
Painted walls and dripped all over carpet and floors. There was some orange paint that they threw on the TV and used a steak knife to stab the TV.
Urine stains on carpets. Her refrigerator door had been glued shut, and the juveniles had started 2 fires likely to hide the evidence. One in the garage and one in the bedroom, the latter causing the most damage.
Sheetrock falling off the ceiling, off the walls. The bed was half burned. Carpet was burned. And that was where it happened, and that's where the majority of the damage was in that bedroom.
Hargis said the majority of the damage done to the house was from the smoke, but it could have been much worse if the bedroom door had stayed open.
I don't know how, but that door was closed and it extinguished itself, or else this house would have burned to the ground.
The unnamed kids are known troublemakers in the neighborhood. The police report notes a fascination with fire and frequent lack of parental supervision.
Maybe their parents should be having a leash on them or something, you know? I feel like it's parental neglect.
Since April, the juveniles have admitted to their actions, and all 3 were charged with second-degree arson and malicious injury to property, both felonies. But crews have spent the better part of a month cleaning up their mess.
With everything that we've tore out and had to get rid of, and then putting it all back together, you're probably going to be touching $100,000.
And even a month after the incident, the inside of the house still smells like a barbecue, and Murdoch says she is worried about potential retaliation from her sister's neighbors. Reporting live in Pocatello, I'm Max Cohan.
Thank you, Max. Lorraine Bowen declined to speak on camera on the recommendation of her attorney. Well, ever try to get off the I-15 interstate onto Highway 20 at the Johns Hole Bridge during rush hour? They'll be looking at solutions to that log jam in a public meeting tonight where you can have your input. We'll have that story coming up next. Big discussion tonight on how to improve the flow of traffic between I-15 and US 20. The Idaho Transportation Department is holding a public meeting tonight on possible solutions in the way that those 2 highways merge together. They're hoping the public can help them in making the right choice. A number of plans have been presented to the public already, but those attending tonight say it's an issue that needs to be fixed.
It comes very close to my house, and the noise is sometimes intolerable.
The traffic and the infrastructure isn't good enough or efficient enough to handle the volume of traffic.
We're hoping to come to a final conclusion later this winter and present our final results.
The public meeting will end tonight at 8 p.m. The plans include building or removing interchanges between the Broadway exit and the St. Leon exit. You can get a closer look at all those plans on our website at localnews8.com. Local businesses were given some training in the 2nd annual Elevate Leadership Summit. Regional employers gathered today at the Stevens Performing Arts Center to learn management and business development skills from professionals from all across the country. It was organized by the Leadership Pocatello Chubbuck Board and the ISU Business School. Leadership summits are often held in larger cities, so this gave local businesses the opportunity to learn from national companies without having to travel.
A lot of businesses they spend a lot of money to send their employees elsewhere to larger cities that hold these conferences typically. And this was kind of our solution to be able to provide it to smaller businesses that maybe can't afford it by being able to provide it right here in Pocatello.
A portion of the proceeds will go toward academic scholarships for high school students in the region. We'll be right back.
Now, your first alert weather.
So we're just starting to get really good thunderstorm action out there as the cold front pushes in here for tonight, overnight, in through Friday morning. And rumbles of thunder out there, some heavy rain, gusty winds, and quite a bit of turbulent weather with us here for the evening hours overnight into early Friday morning. In fact, let's go to from the radar laps to the live sweeping radar. I want to take you into a couple of hot spots right now. Got a thunderstorm coming over the foothills and mountains heading into Pocatello, getting into Inca, McCammon. This storm is coming up over from the Crystal area. It's going to be pushing over the mountains here, and it hasn't been dropping lightning here in the last few minutes, but it has lost some energy, but it is going to start to put down some rain around Pocatello and Chubbuck. We've also had quite a bit of some active weather here coming through the Palisades, moving up into Teton County, Idaho, but more active weather as you get northeast of Jackson there. And then also quite a bit of thunderstorm activity here getting through Ashton, Warm River, pushing north into Island Park as we speak. There's a cold front coming through tonight, so here's the engine driving the system. It's this area of low pressure that's going to be sliding inland as we head through the weekend. As it does so, this cold front's coming in tonight. That's going to drop our temperatures with highs tomorrow only into the 40s. There's a little bit of a break here for Saturday before more showers funnel in on Sunday. So tonight at 9 o'clock, this is what the map will look like. We're going to be dealing with thunderstorms, especially right across the Wyoming state line there. Where you see the little yellow splotches on the map, that's indications of possible severe thunderstorm activity later tonight with some heavier showers and quite a bit of lightning. We'll see some overnight showers. This is 1 a.m. tonight. Early tomorrow morning, passing rain showers coming through much of the upper valley locations and then rotating in more wet weather for the lower Snake River Plain as we get towards 8 a.m. We'll see some high elevation snow with the snow level about 6,800 feet. Tomorrow afternoon, more passing showers, and then we'll be looking for the winds to be continuing to stay gusty all day on Friday. So the biggest issue here really won't be the heavy rain I see on Friday, but a lot of wind in the forecast. And then we even see some snow Saturday morning here right through the mountains along the Wyoming border. But there is actually a break coming in here for most of your Saturday across western Idaho and central Idaho, which is good news if you have some outdoor plans there across central Idaho. For the rest of us, we're going to have a chance of some showers and thunderstorms on Saturday. Look at the temperatures tomorrow, only into the upper 40s here for Friday afternoon under mainly cloudy conditions. Mid 50s on Saturday and Sunday, and then another drop in the temperatures on Monday. It's going to be cold, wet, and windy to kick off the approaching work week with highs on Monday afternoon, only into the upper 40s. Pocatello high here 50 degrees for tomorrow, 59 on Saturday. Chance of showers throughout the weekend, and then mainly cloudy conditions with wet weather on Monday with a high of 49, 55 for Tuesday. Blackfoot, similar conditions here with a high of 50 for tomorrow, 58 on Saturday, 55 on Sunday, and then cloudy wet weather with lots of wind to get us back to work on Monday with highs in the upper 40s. As we take a look at Rexburg, numbers here at 46 for tomorrow. So coming down from those 70s and 80s in a big fashion here, and then we're stuck with the cool, wet, windy weather all the way through the rest of the weekend. Monday high 46. Salmon, you're going to actually catch a bit of a break for Saturday. This is also true for Chalice. Not much wet weather on Saturday, but you'll still have some wind. Highs in central Idaho will hit 60 degrees on Saturday with some sunny conditions. More wet weather funnels back in there for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Jackson, don't be surprised if you see a little snow mixed in with the rain because it's going to get cold enough outside. Highs will be hitting the mid-40s for the next couple of afternoons. Overnight lows into the 30s, and it's going to be a rain-snow mix on Monday with a high of 46 in the afternoon. We're going to take a quick break. Dylan's in next with a check of Sportsline.
And now, Sportsline.
The high school state baseball tournament's got going today. The 3A tournament is being held at Melaleuca Field, so let's get to some of the early action from day one. First game of the day, Marsh Valley taking on Timberlake. Bottom of the first, Eagles up 1-0. Bronx Holbrook goes opposite field, knocking in 2 runs with this blast to right field. Marsh Valley increases the lead to 3-0. Same inning, Riley Lloyd doing the honors for the Eagles. He drops it just over the shortstop for a couple more Marsh Valley runs. Eagles would put up 5 runs in the first. Marsh Valley goes on to win 19-8 in 5 innings to move on to the semifinals tomorrow at 4. Game 2 of the tournament, South Fremont versus Homedale. Winner plays Marsh Valley. Top of the first, no score. Brian Popocatl with the drive down the line, fair just by inches. He will book it in for a double, but he would go no further. Bottom first, Homedale's Clayton Wolf fouls it straight up. South Fremont catcher Seth Klingler finds the ball and dives backwards to make the catch. The Trojans' defense was good early as well. Drew Deal snags the comeback for the out. The scoring came later. South Fremont did more of it, winning 3-1. Cougars versus Eagles in an all-East Idaho semifinal on Friday. To Valley View for the 4A tournament. Bonneville taking on Kuna. Brewer Webster was solid on the mound. 5 strikeouts, gave up only 2 hits in the game. He didn't need much run support, but Willie Nelson gives him all he needed in the 4th. 2-run shot, likely some blue eyes crying in the rain for the caveman. Bees shut out Kuna 8-0. They advance to tomorrow's semifinals to face Lakeland. Some early scores from earlier today as well. Madison fell to Mountain View 5-0. Capital beat Highland 8-7. Both our 5A teams are out of contention. In 2A earlier today up in Orofino, Malad beat Declo 5-2. And the Melba Chalice Mackey game was delayed due to weather. That game is now underway. A lot more action coming up later tonight at 10. That's it for Sportsline. We'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere. Entertainment Tonight is next.